But we're talking about getting old. Here's Barkley on the Warriors getting old, because that is a thing. Getting old. It happens in sports, folks. And when it gets old, the only thing that's going to happen is you get older. That doesn't necessarily mean you get better. You get older.
They in serious trouble because, number one, Draymond's got 3 or 4 more years. They're going to have to make a hard decision on Klay. Klay's not going to get younger. Do you sign him for 3 or 4 more years, which he won't? That's the elephant in the room. Because if they got to make a decision on him. Listen, we all love Klay. And Klay wants a max deal. He's not going to get a max deal. But you see he's compromised because of the ACL and the Achilles. Do you still sign him for 3 or 4 more years what he wants? How can you get young if you're going to sign him? So they are in serious.
I just asked, what would you do?
What would I do?
Can't do a sign and trade?
Every time.
Can't do a sign and trade?
He has reportedly lowered his...
Well, he gonna have to.
Yeah, well, but I'm saying, so he's not like...
Yeah, but Ernie, but he's not gonna get better. He gonna make less money, but he ain't gonna get no better. Older people don't get... Sports ain't for old people. They're for young people. That's no disrespect. Klay's a Hall of Famer. But he's lowered his number, but he ain't... just because he lowered his number don't mean he's gonna play better as he ages. It doesn't work.
He could play better in a different role.
What role?
He could play in a second unit role.
So he could play, and we saw that. He did play better with the second unit. He averaged 19 a game with the second unit. He shot over 41% from 3. But in this situation, as much as we say, move on from Klay, he was awful last night. He was awful last night. 0 for 10, 0 points, the worst game he's ever had in his career. This is the most field goal attempts he's ever had by shooting this poorly since 2013, March 27, 2013. But is this situation the best for Klay Thompson? Is this offense the best for Klay Thompson? Is this personnel the best for Klay Thompson? Forget for a second what Klay Thompson means to the Warriors and whether or not the Warriors want him back. We saw in this system, if you don't have shot creators, Klay Thompson can be compromised and be a limited NBA player.
There's also a calculation of the emotional toll that I think that he presents currently. I think that's a fair thing. Like, the guy's emotions, which we understand them. I'm not saying that I'm cold and calculated and his emotions don't matter, but clearly he cared about starting. And clearly he cared about what his hierarchy was, whether it was within the team, the league, etc. And I think some guys respond to contract seasons and things like that. And some guys, it doesn't matter whatsoever. I think that he got a little in his head at times over the last couple of years, just in general, and I think that's been a very difficult thing to navigate for the team. And I think it's affected. Like, I'm watching that game last night, Moses Moody, and I don't know how good Moses Moody could be. I don't know, but I think part of the Klay conundrum they've been in the last couple of years, I think Moody has been... The consequence of not playing Moody is a part of that. You know what I'm saying? And I think adding GP2 is a big part of that. It's not just Klay, playing Wiggins and playing Kuminga, like Moody hasn't had a role. And I'm watching Moody last night. I'm like, God, I would have loved to have seen a little more Moody. I'm not saying he's the difference maker, but there's so many Klay questions. The number one thing is without even adding his potential money to the books. Yeah. If they have the same projected roster with CP3 opting in and Looney staying, they're $3 million over the top of the threashhold.
I know.
They're $3 million over.
So,
and I know you've been talking about his price point and everything, and I get where you're coming from, and the league might view him a certain way. They can only afford a certain number for him, and that's if they finagle a lot of other things and move things around. Like,
if you're going to play this brand of basketball. If you're going to play this brand of basketball, to read and react in emotion offense, and Klay can't move like he used to move, then is it best for Klay to be here, and is it best for Klay to go somewhere else?
What about the team?
Is it best that's what I'm saying. Is it best for the Warriors to bring him back if you're going to play this brand of basketball? At this number, what's the number going to be? Now, again, I keep citing his numbers when he did make the role, when he made the adjustment. And I think the one thing we love about Klay is that he does show his emotions. I like seeing that for pro athletes because a lot of times guys are robots and they're speaking in cliches. Klay Thompson tells it like it is. He tells you how you feel, which I think makes him endearing. But since the All-Star break, he averaged 28 minutes a game, which we all wanted. We owned him down to 25, 28 minutes. Yeah. He got down to 28 minutes. He gave you 19 points a game, on a team with limited shot. How many shot creators do they have on this team? Steph?
CP3 would create shots for others, but, I mean, very few.
Very few. 19 points a game, 41% from three, 45% from the floor. Those were Klay Thompson's last 27 games. Mm-hmm. He was a lot more consistent. He shot better than Steph Curry from an efficiency standpoint from post-All-Star break, but he needs help, obviously. He needs help. He needs guys to create for him. Last night, the rhythm was not there offensively. He forced shots up. He was not good. Not good at all. He's a byproduct of Steph getting blitzed left and right and the ball not finding him. So I don't know what that number is for Klay Thompson, but is it best for the Warriors to bring him back? And is it best for Klay Thompson to come back?
Klay's going to do what Klay wants to do. I'm just going to go from the Warriors. I'm a Warrior fan, and I love Klay, and I'll forever love him. He's in the Frank Gore zone for me right now. And what I mean is forever minted. Love the guy. Legend. All-time legend. But if you stay with this business, given all of the equity that you brought to the table and it's like any kind of like you owe a salesman so much. There's a hierarchy, and I think within this organization, for them to move on and to be able to evolve as an organization, we're going to his resume. Oh, well, he's done so much here, and
Why sound like Steady? Be Shasky.
Because like when Frank Gore was here, I could never see Frank Gore accepting being the splitting carries and being a number two. Like, I just couldn't see it, because he had meant so much. They needed to allow him to go away so they can move on. And look, Carlos Hyde was not better. Carlos Hyde was not better than Frank Gore.
To that point, though, Klay Thompson did step aside and not be the number two option. He had given that mantle to Andrew Wiggins. He said, Andrew Wiggins is doing what I used to do, and that's the evolution of this, and one day it's going to be JK. Andrew Wiggins became that second option in the championship run, and Klay played third fiddle, and Klay did it very, very well. Klay Thompson knows Andrew Wiggins should have still been the second option this year, but Andrew Wiggins struggled in that role.
Every time he didn't finish the game, you could see it. He was physically and visibly frustrated.
He was. And that was the biggest thing coming into the year. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Finishing lineups.
He also cared about starting.
Right.
So I think
he cared a little about starting, but he got over it.
Lot.
But he had his dad there. His dad was the number one overall pick, who was a starter with the Portland Trail Blazers. By the time he got traded to the Lakers, he understood, I need to come off the bench to help a team win a championship. Klay did that. Now, you needed to talk to him, but he's sitting there thinking, am I the only one struggling? Think about that.
No, he wasn't.
Klay Thompson was asked to go to the bench, and Andrew Wiggins had a worse year than Klay Thompson.
No, there's no doubt.
Andrew Wiggins got his starting spot back despite having a worse year than Jonathan Kuminga.
I know.
From a personal standpoint, I kind of get why Klay was frustrated. He's like, wait, you're basically pinpointing all the issues of the starting lineup on me, and you end up going back to Klay Thompson anyway. It's
for them to grow. I think both parties. It's just time. It feels like it's time, and I think that they can't really technically afford him. And I think that there's a psychological component, and then there's a playing time component moving forward. No. To me, it feels like time. Doesn't mean you don't love him. It doesn't mean he's not a legend. It's all those things. Timing feels about right.
I'm gonna take the other side and take from Klay's point of view.
Yeah.
I think there may be better situations for him out there.
Then he owes it to himself to go
find
those.
And that's what he said. But I'm saying for Klay, it may be better for him to move on and go to a different offense, into a different setting. He's kind of giving us hints left and right, including yesterday before the game. Here's Klay Thompson before the game.
That's life, man. Can't let have so much success here. I'm not going to let whatever the future happens make me salty about what I've been able to accomplish in the Warriors uniform. So I don't let that seep in at all.
I kind of heard that before the game yesterday, and I said, oh, boy, this may really be Klay's last game as a Golden State Warrior. And maybe his last game as a member of the Golden State Warriors. So I think we're both saying the same things. I'm not like the financials and everything with this team. You just finished at 10th place. You finished at 10th place. It would be criminal to run the same team back, and that includes Klay Thompson. I don't think we're missing there.
No, I agree.
Also Draymond. But Wiggins and Dre. But if I'm Klay Thompson, and I'm saying I helped build this house, I helped raise those banners. I had just as much to do with that than anybody in this building.
For sure.
And I'm the guy getting benched when Andrew Wiggins is out here averaging 12.5 points per game and clanking everything, and then I'm asked to go back to the starting unit. And then I'm asked to do this and do that. I'm looking at Klay Thompson's season. I think the price tag went up. I'm not going to look at one game and let one game overshadow what he did post All-Star break.
Yeah, but it's been 2 years of they've been trying to navigate his psyche and his play.
But that's Klay. They're trying to navigate Draymond Green's psyche in play. They're trying to navigate Andrew Wiggins' psyche in play. It's not just Klay.
No, but that's the problem, is I have too many psyches I'm worried about and not enough play I'm worried about.
So
I agree it's not
but here's the thing with Klay. At least I know he cares.
No, I agree with that.
At least I know Klay would be willing to die on that basketball court. The problem with Klay was he's trying to search for the player he was before. He was trying to aim to be that all-star coming back and prove to himself, and maybe that's where he went wrong. But that guy gave me everything he had.
Bonte, I said this to you last year after the Lakers series, and it was probably a very minority opinion. I'm sure a lot of people. I was like, Poole and Dre both should be gone. Just start fresh, and then allow Klay to have a contract year. Let's see where it goes, and we'll go from there. Right, and now we brought Dre back. You got rid of Jordan Poole. So like to me now, it's like all right, it's Curry, and then everything else is on the table.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Everything's got to be on the table, and that includes allowing people to see if they have a better situation elsewhere. Because I just don't see how even if you wanted to retain him, you're going to be flying over this salary cap. You're going to be restricted in the amount of first-round draft picks. You
don't have a first-round draft pick next year.
Well, next year. I'm talking about to be able to staple picks moving forward.
No doubt. Yeah, you can only throw it in.
You're stuck. And like the Chris Paul thing is like you're in a conundrum. Get under the apron, or you opt him in, and then you can only trade him for another $30 million player, and you can't staple Wiggins or Kuminga or anything to him. It's literally CP3 and some picks for another player making